Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there, my Jedi and Sith friends, my Mandalorians, my Megalorians, and I think I see a couple of Utai. Could you please refill my ship? Hello one and all, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. So, I just found out something which just blew my freaking mind. Did you know that the new Moana remake has the most unexpected crazy Star Wars connection? Do you guys remember Captain Typho from the prequel trilogy? That's this guy, best known for his eye patch. He was the nephew and replacement of Captain Panaka after the Phantom Menace. He was basically Padme's security guard in episodes 2 and 3. Well, did you know that the new face of Moana in live action, Laga'aia, is the daughter of the great Laga'aia, the man who played Captain Typho? And believe it or not, Catherine was actually asked about this connection, and she playfully responded with, "I inherited nepotism, that's for sure. I'll take that anytime." I feel as though my biggest thing was wanting to make him proud. And it's also worth noting, my friends, that Catherine is also a huge Star Wars fan herself. And she recently also revealed that she got into a bit of a tongue-in-cheek argument with her father. Poking a bit of fun at his daughter, Jay insisted that being in Star Wars is far more impressive than being in Moana. And of course, as you would imagine, Catherine disagreed. But I suppose whatever people think about the Moana remake, personally, I think Disney should stop with these cash grabs. None of the live-action remakes are better than the originals. But regardless, this is a really unexpected connection. But something else I didn't know is that Jay actually returned to voice Captain Typho in the LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga game.
This vote is very important. Now come.
And I do just want to say, he's one of the most underrated parts of the prequel trilogy. And yet, despite the fact your average person probably doesn't know his name, they would know his face instantly. The iconic eye patch, the fact he was Padme's bodyguard, he's one of those very important but often forgotten characters. And in light of today's really interesting fun fact, I thought it might be fun to explore what happens to him after Revenge of the Sith, because he never appears on our screens ever again. And yet, his fate much further down the line is pretty insane. But let's begin with his connection to Captain Panaka, because a lot of fans want to know what happened to him after episode 1. It turns out, Quarsh Panaka remained on Naboo. After the battle on their homeworld in episode 1, Panaka temporarily remained in Amidala's service, but their relationship grew cold. Panaka became paranoid. Nonetheless, he was still very devoted, and when Queen Jamilia became the Queen of Naboo, despite initial plans to retire from service, he persisted as head of security, and during the Clone Wars, he became good friends with Bail Organa of Alderaan. But then, when the Empire took over, Panaka's story goes pretty dark. He joined Palpatine's regime as an Imperial Moff, but was soon killed by Saw Gerrera's partisans. They blew him up. But as for his nephew Captain Typho, he did not join the new regime. In fact, he joined Sabe and the Handmaidens in investigating Padme's death, at a time where Sabe was suspicious that Vader was Anakin. And we learn about this first and foremost in the Vader comics, specifically in issues 3, 4 and 5. Captain Typho felt immense guilt that Padme went with 3PO to Mustafar. If you remember in Revenge of the Sith, he tried to stop her. He couldn't believe he was so naive, and this guilt really did eat him alive. But then following the rise of the Empire, he joined the Amidalans and was part of a mission to lure Vader into a trap on Naboo. They lured him into an underwater Gungan building. They were trying to summon a Sando aqua monster. Typho and his group did manage to force Vader into the creature's mouth, but the Dark Lord was able to escape the beast. And this, as you can imagine, is where everything started to go south. This entire arc of the 2020 Vader comics is probably one of my favorites in the history of Star Wars comics. It's so poetic, it has so many connections to the prequel trilogy, and as you're gonna see, it's quite tragic. Now, if you know anything about Sabe's history in the comics, then you'll know she formed a really strange alliance with Vader. They were both seeking answers in very different ways, but at this point, Sabe is convinced that Vader killed Padme. She finds out later on that Anakin and Vader are one and the same. At this point, she's starting to have her suspicions, but she thinks Vader killed both Anakin and Padme, because she realized that as soon as Anakin vanished, Darth Vader appeared. But the comic starts in the Gungan building, and Vader looks at a mural which is very familiar. It's literally the last scene of The Phantom Menace. It's a tribute to the alliance that Padme formed in the wake of the Trade Federation invasion. You have Boss Nass, Padme, Obi-Wan, Palpatine topples Jar Jar Binks, Panaka, and on the left, Anakin. Vader is looking upon his younger self, and Sabe tells him that was Anakin, the Jedi that Typho mentioned. Even as a child, he served our queen. After she died, he vanished. We mourn his loss as we mourn hers. But Vader, in a fit of rage, has had enough. He demands what he came for, which was the promise of security recordings of Padme's death from Polis Massa. When Vader realizes that this is a trap, they press the button and a sea monster appears. A big fight ensues. They try to arrest Vader, but he ends up killing most of the Amidalans, and one of those is Typho. And Typho isn't the only character from the prequels who returns just to face his death. The other is Rickoli, someone who Anakin explicitly spoke to in The Phantom Menace. He looks at Vader and says, "I'm Captain Rickoli, and we are the Amidalans. We sentence you to death for the murder of Padme, Queen and Senator of Naboo, and General Anakin Skywalker, her Jedi protector." And before Vader does anything, he's a bit taken aback. He tries to remember who this guy is. He says, "You knew them?" And that's when Vader has the flashback. He remembers exactly who he is. And, "Did you see her die?" Vader asks. "No. We just buried her. Then you're of no use to me." The other Amidalans attack, but they underestimated just how powerful the Dark Lord of the Sith really is. He slices most of them in half. As for Rick, he's impaled through the chest. But the remaining Amidalans will not let Vader desecrate Padme's tomb, which is exactly what he wants to do. And again, there's a tragic moment when Vader realizes he actually knows who the majority of these handmaidens are. They stood next to him at Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral. If you wish to live, leave now or face the consequences. And all the while when Vader is fighting off the handmaidens, they all remind him of Padme. But essentially, my friends, that is how Captain Typho died. This takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so much further down the line. But what do you guys think? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you know about this Star Wars connection? And did you enjoy my summary of what happened to Captain Typho? If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.